to another episode of the Men in Score Position podcast. I'm your resident runner on second, Bill Kyrus, joined by the fantasy champion. He's in around here also as the runner on third because I was about to score, Travis Benz. Travis, how's that 145 points treating you this week?
Dude, it's feeling good. It's feeling good. For our listeners who are just tuning in, I will say that when it comes down to what Billy was just referring to is that I gave him a proper, I think it was ass whipping. So
like Adrian Peterson, you maybe cut the switch, and I got it for you.
It's really funny. Billy actually got the short end of the stick on this because we were our two top highest rated scorers in our PPR league. So for that, I say, that's right. You can just call me Daddy the rest of the podcast if you want.
I say, good on you, sir. Good on you, sir.
Guys, if you're just tuning in, welcome. We are the Men in Scoring Position podcast. We are a sports-related podcast. You can find us on any one of our social media platforms, Facebook, SoundCloud, iTunes, all self-titled Men in Scoring Position. You can also find us on Twitter and Snapchat at Men in Scoring POS. We are exclusively through YouTube, and you can email us any of your thoughts, comments, general overall points of view at menandscoringpod@gmail.com. Billy, what do they always need to do?
Rate, review, and subscribe.
Tell a friend.
Nope.
Come on.
Nope. Just keep this to yourself.
Stop fighting me on this.
Tell a friend.
What about a plethora of friends?
Okay, tell a few friends.
God damn it. Say it.
I thought we would start off with our weekly recap, a.k.a.
Quick Quips.
Quick Quips. Quick Quips.
You know what rhymes with Quick Quips, Bill? Cornucopia.
Fake dicks. Oh, sorry. Quick Quips. Quick Quips. So we're going to take one thing or maybe two. It all depends how quick we really feel about these games.
We're going to go over week 6 of the 2017 NFL season, right?
Absolutely. I thought we would start when it started, Thursday night.
Fair enough.
Because we unfortunately did not have a Friday podcast. So it was Philadelphia Eagles 28, Carolina Panthers 23.
My quick quips is 2. Christian McCaffrey, you're a stud. And regardless of 8 yards, they're trying to get him used. And then Wentz this is the year of the rookie quarterback.
He's pretty good. My takeaway would be that even though Philadelphia doesn't have a running game and they're a pretty flawed team, they're probably the best of the NFC East. And I'm excited to watch them play the rest of the year.
Say that again, man.
Yeah, no, they have no running game.
Blunt does it every once in a while.
Blunt's doing what he cans. Fantasy wise, he might vault you a touchdown every now and then, but just like football wise,
not so much.
He's like Garrett Blunt. He's going to do what he can. So they're and Carson Wentz is a pretty decent quarterback, and he seems to have put Aguilar into at least a relevant role as far as fantasy goes, and him and Zach Ertz all they do is score touchdowns. 2 catches for Zach Ertz. Ertz, 2 touchdowns.
The nice thing about Wentz, I say that loosely, is that he's a game managing winner, which is pretty much any and everything that you would want in a quarterback, right? So don't have him do too much, but he looks comfortable this year. He doesn't not a lot going on, and the defense has really stepped up too. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Excuse me.
I wouldn't say that Carson Wentz is shopping for a mattress in a furniture store with how comfortable he is, but he looks pretty comfortable back there.
Pretty damn comfortable.
Moving on, I thought we would talk about a fun game, actually, surprisingly fun game. The Washington Professional Football Team 28, San Francisco 49ers 24. I just want to say, hey, all you other teams, the Jets, the Browns, all your teams that are trying to lose.
You can do it!
No. This is how you tank, my friend. You stay in the game, but then you lose at the end. So your fans are excited, in which they get to see a fun product, but you still get the number 1 overall pick.
So you think that this is what John Lynch is doing? He's just like, guys, get right there on the cusp. Do really, really well. And then nope.
Yeah, that was kind of hot what you just said, but yeah, no, dude, this is how you tank, man.
I actually there's a funny stat that I saw today. I forget where I saw it. I think it was CBS Sports, but the 49ers have lost 5 games in which it was 3 points or less.
Oh, that's okay. That's my point right there. Boom. Travis, back me up with stats. That's how you lose and you make it fun.
Oh man, yeah. It's kind of I was a big Brian Hoyer fan. Couldn't get it done.
We all know.
Couldn't get it done. It was a game. Whatever. It's Frisco.
It was a game. It was a game that happened. Thanks.
It happened. It happened. Moving on.
I thought we would talk about a team that apparently doesn't want to lose anymore. The LA Chargers 17, Oakland Raiders 16. Melvin Gordon is pretty damn good at football.
Yeah, he's. I faced him this week. I believe you had him. The guy's good for 2 touchdowns a game. It's I don't even think it's garbage time. I mean, in some scenarios it is, but that's just the luck of the draw. The guy is a good running back. He's really got his feet underneath him. And I think we're seeing a star running back.
I guess the only other takeaway too is that Oakland was the kind of surprise playoff team last year, and maybe this is more of the Oakland that we're used to, as in they're okay, but they're not that good. Like they aren't the 11-5 team that they were last year. Even with Derek Carr coming back, and I know it's coming off the transverse process fracture.
He looked really bad, man. He was throwing it all over the place.
Hurt too. The Redskins game, he had 100 yards, I think, passing, and the next game he got hurt. And so, I mean, he has not been. Him and Cooper have been totally off. Crabtree's been okay.
There's a lot of rumblings, my man. They're saying that Cooper is extremely unhappy out there for whatever reason. I don't know.
Who catches the doing when you're a wide receiver and not being happy about it?
Yeah, it's so unusual. It's I just feel like if you can't get along with the nice, God-loving, super kind, distribute the ball Derek Carr, I mean, I think you might be a over the top prima donna. I mean, you really haven't even established yourself as that elite that everybody hopes, wishes, talent-wise that you are. So I don't know, man. I'm not on this Amari Cooper train. I'm backing up. Every step forward I take 2 back with him. It's the truth, man. I'm not. There's something about him that's just not. He's not elite to me. And
wow, bring out the E word.
Yes, moving on.
Actually, I think the biggest shakeup. No, let's not do that yet. I would say let's talk Houston 33, Cleveland 17. This is Deshaun Watson's 3rd game in a row with 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that on our Feeling Fine Riding the Pine recap, but this kid is good. He has 3 games, I believe, with 300 yards and 2 to 3 3 touchdowns a game. Which is incredible. This is kind of what I want to see as a Bears fan out of Mitchell Trubisky, not 9 or 11 attempts. I think, Deshaun Watson is the real deal. We knew it kind of coming in. We thought that it was, I think you and I both agreed that it was a really good fit, and it's proven to pan out nicely right now.
Oh, absolutely. And fun fact, too, it's his 3rd game with 3 touchdowns or more, and more is
over 3,
I was about to say, is the right word there, because he had 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, now 3 touchdowns. So he's good. Pretty damn good.
He's good.
I just want to say, moving on, no lead is safe when it comes to Atlanta Falcons, because they end up losing 20-17.
They gave up 17. What is it with those guys?
After being up 17-0. I mean, they did not know what to do. Devontae Freeman only had 9 carries, which is pretty nuts. Julio Jones has not been productive at all this year. Matty Ryan's looking like Matty fucking not so nice.
I don't even want to get on the Falcons so much. I think it was really cool to see Jay Ajayi kind of come back.
I do. I want to get on the Falcons.
Do you? Hey, you know what? You have the platform. I just thought it was cool that the British sensation came back. And, a lot of people were kind of riding him off as a comet. So it's cool to see that he had, I think, what was it, like 130 yards that game?
Yep, 130 yards.
So, yeah, Jay Ajayi, that was cool. Jarvis Landry finally getting in the mix. And when you got a guy like, I'm not even going to say his name.
I find it funny that I have a few Dolphins friends on Facebook.
What do they think?
Well, basically the thing was like rankings of Dolphins quarterbacks, and it was number 1 Matt Moore, number 2 Ryan Tannehill with one leg, number 400 Dan Marino, number 5 like number 1,100 or whatever 1,500 Jay Cutler. I'm just like
easily.
Jay Cutler,
Even Brian. Who was it? Bob Greasy. Like obviously Super Bowl winning quarterback, undefeated team, so on and so forth. But even I think he had what was it like a 60-yard scramble for a loss or something, and they're still like Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler's really bad.
Bob, we won't get into Bob Greasy because that's
we try to stay relevant on this podcast.
I'd say probably the most egregious member of the National Football Hall of Fame would be Bob Greasy. Moving on to another.
Wait, time out. Side note: do you have like a weird Bob Greasy like disdain? No,
I just don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame. He was a terrible He wasn't a terrible quarterback. He wasn't a good quarterback at all. He didn't even play that. The year they went undefeated, it wasn't him. It was Earl Morrall.
I was just about to say, so Earl Morrall over Bob Greasy?
Well, no, I'm just saying it with that.
No, because he did it with the Colts too.
No, I'm just saying with that team, it was weird that Bob Greasy got all the credit.
So he was like the Trent Dilfer of the 72 Dolphins.
Absolutely, yeah. He's the who is your pick for that when we did the poll? Oh, the Jake Plummer, if you will.
Yeah. Whoa! I would take Jake Plummer over Bob Greasy. I don't know about numbers. We would have to look that up. We could possibly post it on our Facebook page, but Jake Plummer was the dude for a very long time, and anybody who forgets that is wrong.
Real quick, Jake Plummer was never the dude.
Jake Plummer was the man.
To my boss Jeremy from my trivia job, who was given a lot of love to Billy Volek.
And he hit us with I hit him with pros. You know what? You explain it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, no, go ahead, brother. So it was, coming out of college, he was kind of, whatever. He wasn't so highly rated. He was on the Titans. Apparently 1 year, he averaged about 270 yards a game for the 10 games that he played, or 8 games that he played. He went 2 and 6.
A little under 2,500 yards for that season in 2004.
20 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, and he was, I think someone else posted too, he was one of, at the time, he was the 4th quarterback. I think now he was of the 9 quarterbacks to have thrown for 400 yards in consecutive games. Which is pretty nuts. When you're the 4th quarterback in the, I think it was like early 2000s, to have
you're letting her rip. You're going against coaches and so on and so forth. You're not facilitating at that point. You're like, no, I'm doing my thing.
Which is pretty nuts. Not thinking about Billy. I always remember Billy Volek as like a guy who. Now here's a guy who I always thought had talent, but maybe was underutilized or maybe wasn't the right fit. But I never would have thought that he was one of the 4 quarterbacks at that time to have done something like pretty cool like that, throwing 400 yards in consecutive games. That was very interesting.
I tipped my hat to remind me of his name again.
Oh, Jeremy.
Jeremy, yeah, Jeremy. Really, we hit him with some pro football stats, career stats, and then he started hitting us with college stats and. It was kind of mind-boggling. I still stick by my man Jake Plummer. I think you were Chad Pennington, I believe.
Johnson, don't start with me. Oh, there was only one. Okay, time out. Of those 4, if you guys could please go to our Facebook page, there is a post which Travis put up with, I believe it was 16 quarterbacks.
Men in scoring position put up.
Oh yeah, sorry, men in scoring position. 16 quarterbacks, and they're all basically career backups, a few starters here. And it's like, if you had a spot starter, who would it be? And of the 16, I believe 4 made the Super Bowl as the starter. It was Jake Delhomme, Brad Johnson. Help me out, buddy. It was.
I'd have to. You know what? I actually am on our Facebook page right now, so give me 2 seconds to find
Jake Delhomme, Brad Johnson, Rex Grossman.
Here we go. Yeah, we had. All right, so here are the options. We had Testaverde, Elvis Garback, Aaron Brooks, Jake Plummer, Jake Delhomme, Rex Grossman, Josh Freeman, John Kitna, Doug Flutie, Brad Johnson.
Kerry Collins. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, buddy.
Was it Kerry Collins that it was?
Kerry Collins was the 4th of the quarterbacks.
Here's the thing. I was such. Oh, go ahead. I apologize.
Nope. How dare you? The only quarterback to win the Super Bowl out of those is Brad Johnson.
What is your self-proclaimed best defense of all time?
The 0-2 Bucks.
The 0-2 Bucks. That being said, we're giving Brad Johnson.
He wasn't just a facilitator, though. I mean, we won a margin of victory. I think it was 18 points a game. He had 22 touchdowns that year and only 13 starts.
That's very pedestrian.
22 to 8 interceptions.
But you really do believe that, though? I thought it was kind of a ball bust.
It was a little bit, but at the same time, I think of all those quarterbacks, I mean, would rather.
When you think of Jake Plummer, and I know we're going off the rails here, we're going to get back on our quick quips.
I know Jake Plummer went 13-3 one year with Denver, but he was pretty bad
with
Arizona.
I liked his Arizona. See, I really did.
Not good with Arizona. He had more interceptions than touchdowns multiple years.
Well, but that was also kind of a dumpster fire of a team.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, when he was a young Jake Plummer in Denver, I love Jake Plummer. There's a couple other guys here that I can show, some love to. I mean, like Chad Pennington is right up there for me.
That is probably the only other option I thought that could be. I mean, Chad Pennington made the playoffs a few years with the Jets. Stephen Hoover, shout out Stephen Hoover, said that,
David
he
Garrard
should have won the MVP that year. I don't know if he should have with the Dolphins, but he was a very good quarterback.
Think about that amazing year that David Garrard had with the Jags. I was like back on the Jags train when David Garrard, I mean, he was almost lights out.
When he went into Pittsburgh and beat Pittsburgh. Yeah, no, that was pretty solid.
He was so accurate that year, and it's just, we digress because we're kind of getting off topic, But yeah, man, if you guys want to take a look at what we were talking about, we had a post on October 14th, just kind of, if your QB1's out and you're desperate for a spot starter, who do you choose? So be sure to check that out. You got Charlie Bash in there, Jay Fielder, Byron Leftwich, Harrington. A lot of interesting guys, and it makes for a good discussion.
Yeah, start Joey Harrington.
But you know what I will say, though? I love the caption from CBS. It says, hey, just know that Kyle Orton comes with a free neck beard. So shout out to CBS for that.
Talking about...
Moving on.
Another travesty, if you will, Travis. New England 24, the Jets 17. I just want to say, take a look at that rule, NFL. The whole ASJ coming out. He's running to the end zone. He starts to fumble, but then he regains possession, but no other person touches it, and he kind of fumbles it out of bounds in the end zone, despite the fact he had it in his hands. Like, what the fuck rule is that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I understand the referees are doing what they can within the rules, but that, along with the 10-second runoff when it's earlier this year when we saw the Lions against the Falcons and Golden Tate was tackled at the 1, and then it was a scoring play, so then they had to review it, and then they lost the review despite the fact Lions didn't call for it, so then it was 10-second runoff, so they lost. So, like, those are two rules you guys need to look into, NFL.
Well, I think, like, when it comes to NFL and when it comes to catching, have a definitive line as to what a catch is, because I think that as much as maybe other like political stuff is just kind of what is turning a lot of fans. Like, why? Like, what is a catch? Just allow the catch to happen. Like, there are so many times where I'm like, come on, that's a catch. And if you go through the annals of NFL, film, you start to be like, all like 90% of these great catches weren't catches by today's standards, and I think you just got to fucking ease up. Like, I don't want to watch the zebras play anymore. I want to see,
unless they're actual wildlife zebras in which we support.
In which that would be awesome. That would be super cool. Hashtag zebras. No, but yeah, you're right. I think that the Jets got robbed. I think that my one quick quip from this is definitely, not how they thought it was going to start. I think they started off 14-0, and with some turnovers as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I was watching that game and just going like, because I picked them for my eliminator pool, and I was just like, what the fuck? And
you picked the Pats, and you're like, of course.
At the same time, it was like, we'll be okay. As far as like the Patriots would be okay. They did come back and winning, and maybe it's rigged. Who knows? But whatever. The Pats won the game.
Did we both do okay on our eliminator pool this week? By the way,
no, you lost.
Did I?
Yeah, you
Who
lost.
Did I pick?
KC, you lost. I
Jesus.
picked Indianapolis. Who, if you guys didn't know, we're recording this Monday, October 16th at 10. we started at 10:30-ish Central Time.
Right.
And the Titans just won the game. All right, so we're both out. We both suck at Eliminator Pool.
But please listen to our advice. We're not giving head-to-head advice. We're giving fantasy football advice.
In real life, and I think that mattered, I picked the Patriots.
Yeah, right.
So in another game that quote-unquote mattered, New Orleans 52, Detroit 38.
Amazing game. Super cool. Exactly what you think would happen in a game like this. Two just gunslinging quarterbacks airing it out.
No. Breeze had 180 yards. It was all the defense, buddy. It was crazy.
No. Stafford came back. Let me pull this up because I guess you know what? Let me rephrase. It wasn't a high yardage situation. It was a very clutch situation when they needed to score. They facilitated. I guess is what I meant to say.
No, I mean, like, I get the idea that you'd expect these two teams to score that amount, but the craziest part to me was Ingram was getting touches in the red zone. Breeze threw for 180 yards. Michael Thomas had 11 yards, and they scored 52 points, which is absolutely stunning to me.
Right.
They had 3 defensive touchdowns.
I think it was, 2 interceptions as well?
Yeah.
Something.
They had 3 picks on Stafford. They had 3 defensive touchdowns all day. Detroit had an interception return for a touchdown too.
Well, shout out to Golden Tate, by the way. That was one of the most incredible sideline. That was just with the stop. For those of you who didn't see, he kind of jumped back, planted his foot, went up. They tried to strip the ball. He did a spinorama, and that was just veteran, beautiful wide receiver. You want Yak? Look at what he does.
Absolutely. If you want to yak too about his injury, because he might be out for the next couple of weeks, but we'll see. We shall see.
that one play though.
Yeah, no, that one play was great. And Marvin Jones, I think, had 8 catches for 90 yards with a touchdown.
Yep. Guess who sat him? Solid. Guess who sat him? Both of his leagues.
But moving forward, I think Mark Ingram is getting more of the workload when AP out now that AP is gone. And Alvin Kamara is a pretty decent pass catcher out of the backfield. Speaking of AP, let's get it over with. Arizona 38, Tampa, who gives a fuck? We suck.
I can't interject, buddy. I feel bad for you. To get beat by Carson Palmer.
To watch. I mean, just watching Larry Fitzgerald dismantle us as well as so based on the retirement center that is Carson Palmer at quarterback, Larry Fitzgerald running back, and AP at running back. I think I said running back for Fitzgerald. You guys know what I mean. Wide receiver. Fitzgerald in the first half, I think, had 8 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown. I was pretty sure he was going to break the record for most catches in the game because he was just wide open that entire game. We couldn't stop Adrian Peterson on the run. And I know we didn't have Quan Alexander or TJ Ward, but that's still not an excuse. And then Winston going out in the second quarter and Fitzpatrick coming in. I really hope no one watched that game thinking Fitzpatrick should start because that was a lot of prevent defense. That was a lot of really loose defense, just trying not to lose. And yeah, he looked good, but against a different pass rush than you saw in the first half. So, I mean, Winston's coming off a sprained, I think, AC joint or sprained shoulder, so he should be okay going into next week. And I just hope we have a better performance than we did in that first half because that was just absolutely brutal to watch. And it's tough rooting for a team that, if you're going to look like that, that's tough to root for.
Now, let me ask you a question. If you had to place a blame on maybe 1 or 1A and 1B for that game, what would it be?
Our secondary is pretty awful, and Mike Smith, I don't think, had a very good game plan going into it.
So we're blaming coaching.
Coaching as well as personnel. I mean, not having TJ Ward's a big deal. Not addressing corners. I mean, we had Vernon Hargreaves, who drafted him first round last year. But the years before, it was mainly offense, and we don't have a shutdown corner. It's just our defensive secondary is just really bad, and Brent Grimes is doing what he can, but he's all 5'9", and Fitzgerald is fucking 6'4", and was just getting wide open. And we're playing an off cover 2, which was weird. It was just a poorly coached game. It was a poorly played game. And I just think, that team is better than that. And whether that's, morale boost, getting Quan Alexander back, he is the defensive play caller at middle linebacker, and athletic boost as well. Because I was watching Kendall Beckwith trying to play middle as best he could, or at least in the nickel. Kendall Beckwith was trying to take Quan Alexander's role, and he just wasn't covering the right guy. Like, he was running to the flats when he should have covered over the middle. He was letting Fitzgerald come across him as opposed to he's supposed to follow him. Just little things like that I was noticing that I think could be coached up. But Beckwith is a rookie as opposed to Quan Alexander's a second year, and I think he's one of the better coverage linebackers we have. And Levante David had a touchdown later in the game that made it close. And oddly enough, we still kind of made it close, in which we were down 30. I want to say it was 38-33 or 38-32. And we had an onside kick going with 2 minutes left. And, of course, who recovers it? Larry fucking Fitzgerald. So
the guy plays ball, man. That's kind of his MO.
With that whatsoever. It was not a fun game to watch. And I kind of tuned out after a while, but I still watched as best I could.
Dude, it's heartbreaking. I just, I don't know, man. I like Carson Palmer. I like Larry Fitzgerald.
Moving on.
Fair enough.
We had the game that I thought would be a little more exciting than it was. It was fun to start with back-to-back touchdowns on touches. Well, not back-to-back, excuse me. But we have the LA Rams 27, Jacksonville 17. Start off with an LA Rams kickoff return for a touchdown. Jacksonville gets the ball. Leonard Fournette scores a 75-yard touchdown. The rest of the game, Fournette goes 20 carries for 55 yards, so they really bottle him up there. It ended up being, as I said, 27-17.
Yeah, no, it's Fournette showed some speed, which I found a little odd. Like, I knew that he was quick, and for those of you who are like, well, what's the difference? The best way that, like, at least for me, and Billy, tell me if you disagree, but I feel like for instance, like, let's go with some of the greats, like Barry Sanders and/or Walter Payton were quick burst, where somebody with just like sheer speed would be, like kind of like a Darryl Green or just somebody who's fast. So to see him kind of like be quick out of the hole and run it, I'm like, this kid's good. I also felt that he was a little overused in college, and I'm not big on running backs that kind of, have a little too much tread on the tires. So, it was cool. At the end of the day, they didn't get the job done though, and the Rams are solid.
Disagree. I would disagree. I agree that the Rams are solid, but I still think the Seahawks. You didn't say anything about this. Sorry. I think the Seahawks win the West. I think the Rams are going to falter.
No, we know. Well, tell our new listeners though.
I think this is what Seahawks do. They kind of lay in wait, and then they come back and they fucking win.
Dude, they
and
do.
They go
11-5.
Jeez
Louise.
A game that I want to say I predicted, but at the same time, there's no record of me doing so. We have the Giants of New York 23, the Denver Broncos 10. I just had a weird feeling. I had a feeling the Giants were going to win this game.
They were due. Dude, and like you have jobs on the line. Like I know everybody was all hell bent on Ben McAdoo, but I really feel like his head was kind of starting to become on the chopping block, at least nationally. I'm sure locally they're like, get rid of this guy, but yeah, no, they got it done.
They got it done. Eli Manning only 100 less than 150 yards passing.
You have to preface that, Bill, just for our listeners. Like my boy Eli Manning.
Eli Manning did not do very well. I think he had less than 150 yards passing. Orleans Darkwa, I think, had 20 carries, 100 and something yards. And the other kid, Gallman, was pretty decent too. They found a weird running game, or weird flow with the running game, and Evan Ingram was their only option to throw to, and he did pretty decently too. Another one that was kind of, well, not shocking, because if you look back at their history, it makes sense. Pittsburgh 19, Kansas City 13. Kansas City just can't beat Pittsburgh, man. They lost in the playoffs last year. They got owned, I think, early in the regular season too. James Harrison coming just coming on that blitz. He only plays a few snaps a game now, and I think that's even scarier. That he's saved his energy because T.J. Watt's replaced him, but he still comes in when it matters at the end. He just owned Eric Fisher.
That arguably,
and he got Alex Smith.
This is a weird little thought process, but that arguably could be the best utility guy in recent memories in the NFL.
You could be like a closer, like in baseball.
Baseball, right? Baseball have closers. Right? Got it.
Nailed it. So, you bring in Chapman in the ninth, right? You bring in Harrison in the fourth.
He didn't get shitty. He didn't get, at least publicly. And he comes in and he gets it done. It's like that is a 1-2 punch heir apparent. The guy did come out of retirement, so, maybe he's a little bit more common in that regard. But that is cool. I really, really love TJ Watt, and I'm a huge, huge fan of James Harrison.
Yeah, and this was the 1 week where Hunt came down to earth. He had 9 carries for 23 yards, 5 catches for 89, so that kind of saved you fantasy-wise. Alex Smith had actually had a pretty decent game considering
per usual.
250 yards passing and a touchdown. Pretty decent. Yeah. Moving on to another game I think that's going to affect the rest of the year, especially the NFC North. Minnesota 23, the Green Bay Packers 10. Go ahead, say it.
I honestly, I'm not a shitty Bears fan. I love the game of football. That's fucked up, man. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is as amazing as everybody says he is. I think he's really, really good. I think he's possibly Hall of Fame. To talk GOAT, to talk the best quarterback in the league, I say fuck you, you're wrong. But he nobody wants to see that, man. I mean, I don't know if it was true or not, but I saw an X-ray of his collarbone. I got to check the source and see if it's credible, but it was like a clear break. And to break your collarbone on your throwing shoulder on what wasn't really, in my opinion, and I think most others' opinions, a violent hit, that sucks, man. Because now they're in scramble mode. I mean, what do you do?
Oh, I thought you were going to call him like a wuss or whatever. But here's
no,
the thing.
No, dude. I mean,
can I just say this real quick to all you future football players, all you future quarterbacks in the league? Do not fall and put your hand down to brace yourself. You have shoulder pads, and I understand that's instinctual to put your hands down, but when you do that, that's when you break your collarbone. That's when you hurt your elbow. You roll into the hit. You allow the shoulder pad to absorb the impact. That is what they're designed for, as well as getting hit by other players. But that's the whole point of them. If you do that and you don't put your hand down, you don't have a broken collarbone. That's all I have to say. And I know it's super instinctual, and I know you want to do it, but that's why you see, and I know it's not a sport where we don't cover it, but wrestling, you see these guys and they go to training and they break their falls by falling to the ground flat on their back. They don't break the falls with their hands because that's how you hurt your wrists, that's how your elbows, that's how you hurt your shoulders, your collarbone, etc. So when you're a quarterback, you have to realize that you have to roll into your own shoulder and use the shoulder pad to absorb the hit. That's all I have to say. So watching it, I was like, I knew the second it happened, I go, broken collarbone.
I feel like it's almost like being in a car accident, though, man. When it's happening that fast, like it's just instinctual.
There should be a training thing then, just like how I think there was the NFL films where they're teaching quarterbacks how to slide, like baseball players. There needs to be a way
but sliding is so much different, though, man. I mean,
I'm just saying, to teach quarterbacks how to fall, you get muscle memory in your head, and then that's just how you do
just
it.
Fall, right.
You pull your arm out, and you just fall onto your shoulder.
I feel like this is going to be a really, really shitty pun, but I feel like they can't catch a break. You know?
So Green Bay is 4-2.
No, but seriously, I mean, like, think about it. If it's not Jordy, it's Aaron. If it's not Aaron, it's Cobb. If it's not,
it's Ty,
it's Ty. Yeah. It's it's something. Or Lacey has an eating disorder, and it's just like, fuck, dude. So, but again, I think I'm getting to the age now, or maybe it's our beloved podcast, where I'm just done being shitty about certain athletes and certain teams. I feel like if you really wish that Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone, fucked up his livelihood, and screwed the dreams of a bunch of people, well, I might have a beer with you, but I still think you're a really shitty person. Like,
we're talking about beers. How about we talk about some Bears, huh?
yeah, man. Yeah. A little bit of a scare for the Bears. They did well. They did exactly what John Fox does. Run the ball. I think Howard had 36 carries for 167 yards. I think he was averaging like 4.5 yards a carry. And they didn't really use Trubisky any more than they had to. They are consistent with babying this kid. He only had 8 passing attempts, or
16. It's 16 passing attempts.
Or excuse me. 8 completions with 16 passing attempts, 113 yards and a touchdown. He also made a very, very crucial play over the middle to Kendall Wright. A lot of Trubisky's numbers that aren't eye-popping have a lot to do with his receivers can't get open. We don't have receivers, and they're really, really, really bad. But thank God for my man, little Tariq Cohen, throwing touchdown passes.
I was about to say, this is your second week in a row with a non-quarterback throwing a touchdown.
Play. Hey, listen, when you're 1-4, man, you got to do what you got to do.
I tried looking up the stat. What's the record for most touchdown passes by a non-QB in consecutive games? You know what Google said? There's nothing. They don't really have a stat.
It's not a thing.
But I wanted
This isn't baseball, Bill. This isn't baseball.
I really wanted to look it up, but it was like games in a row with a touchdown pass. I was like, no, I know. I want to know non-quarterbacks.
Well, one stat that I do not have in front of me that I wish I did was Deion Sims's drops, because he was about to get ran out of Chicago, and he ends up catching 2 passes for 42 yards and a touchdown. Which was he showed really good hands. Which we brought him in as a blocking tight end, and he proved that he could catch a little bit. I'm a little hesitant to moving forward, but he's not the end all be all. We've been very blessed with tight ends over the years. Greg Olsen, Desmond Clark, Martellus Bennett. So we shall see.
I was talking to that guy Jason Ferrari. Shout out.
Second shout out today, Jason.
Shouting out. And saying I was asking about Adam Shaheen because I have him in a keeper league, and I just knew like how talented he was coming out of college, and I was like, why isn't he seeing the field more? And apparently, what he says is that he's not. Although he looked good blocking in college, he's just not there yet when it comes to blocking. So the 2 tight end sets in which Fox likes to run the ball, it's Sims and Miller. So Shaheen's just not seeing the field as much as he should be, and he's going to be a clear red zone threat in the future.
Absolutely.
He just hasn't blocked yet.
Absolutely. I also I know this is quick quips and this isn't quick, but lastly I want to say shout out to the Bears defense with Bryce Callahan, a guy that I really, really like, with the interception. And then Adrian Amos going back in his hometown.
There's my boy right there.
Yeah, dude, going back to his hometown and just and taking the pick to the house, knowing that someone almost died on the field but not giving a shit because he wanted to score 6. Love it. I love it. Our defense is riddled with injury. Danny Trevathan finally comes back and had a really solid game. Couple tackles, had a sack.
Okay, let's not say he came back from injury. He came back from trying to kill Devontae Adams.
No, you didn't let me finish. He came back from killing somebody, which found out they were injured. Yeah. We'll see moving forward. I feel like we're teeter-tottering on that Jets thing. Like, you have to appease Bear fans by throwing in a W every once in a while. But we really want good draft picks, and we want to buy people in free agency.
Chicago Bears, check out the San Francisco 49ers model. It's worked for them so far.
Oh, man.
So moving on with the NFC North, though, I mean, we have Green Bay at 4-2, Minnesota 4-2, Detroit 3-3, Chicago 2-4. I know a lot of our listeners are Bears fans. Is there any chance whatsoever the Bears win the NFC North?
Give Trubisky more touches, but not without receivers. I think it's painfully evident that we don't have receivers and we don't have linebackers. So anything is possible, Chicago kid.
Yeah, no, anything is possible when you have 3 Hall of Famers on your team, fucking Kevin Garnett. Moving on to our recap of
Feeling fine and riding the pine. But before we do that, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, if you will, and we will be right back.
Get some of that cookie crisp.
Cookie.
Right? Remember that commercial
cookie.
that we just did, the cookie crisp. All right.
Listen,
anyways,
I haven't even signed the waivers yet, dude.
So we are back. We're done with our quick quip segment, and we are recapping our feeling fine.
Riding the pine, baby. Let's do it.
So I was feeling fine about
you know what, Bill? I think we should do this as long as our segment is relatively new. I think for new listeners, kind of explain what our projections are, so on and so forth.
So our goal is to have 2 podcasts a week, one in which we preview, one in which we recap. The previews, we're going to give you our picks. We're going to pick at least 5 players, if not more, that we are quote unquote feeling fine about. Players we think we should start. For me personally, I like to do players I think that are going to go above projections on ESPN standard PPR scoring. Travis is a little more by the seat of his pants. He shoots from the hip, if you will. These might be players that you can pick up on your waiver wire. For me, these are guys who maybe
waiver and or bench, like people that that you just wouldn't normally like. Say if you're sitting on a guy that just hasn't been producing, it's a name guy like an Amari Cooper, and I'm like, hey, I really feel like this guy maybe or maybe not a better fit. So just to clarify.
No, absolutely, yeah. And I was gonna let you talk when you had your opportunity, but all right. Anyways, thanks for interrupting, Travis.
Sorry, I'm gonna go fucking kill myself right now.
And you can check all these out too. We do post them on our Facebook page
every week
during the week. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we are more than willing to engage with you if you have any questions about who to start, who to sit. If you have any possible trades out there, please let us know via Facebook.
We at least have a one-day response time. I mean, it's no matter what social media platform you hit us up on, if it's Facebook, SoundCloud, iTunes, Snapchat, email, even YouTube. I mean, you hit us up and we will. We will take care of that. So
you know what? That's not a desperate. Don't hit us up. We don't need you.
We don't fucking need you.
So I was feeling fine about a young man who wears a bolo tie and has 8 kids, Phillip Rivers.
Hey,
he's projected at 17. He got you 14 with 268 yards and a touchdown. I'll consider that a loss.
No, it's not a loss. It's not ideal, but you know what can we say? It's Phillip Rivers. No. That makes sense. I'm gonna start low because I've got a lot of. I'm about 500 this week, so.
Me too.
A guy that I went out on a limb on was Alvin Kamara, Saints running back. He had 10 carries for 75 yards, which is really good if you're in head-to-head. But all of our advice is PPR advice. So he's a good flex option. He was projected at 14. He got you 12.
Yeah, I mean that's a wash right there. That's not a terrible pick. And I think moving forward, as we're saying, he's a good flex option for you because he's the pass catcher out of the backfield.
He's young, and I feel like they're going to really want him. It's going to be that standard cliche of thunder and lightning, right?
Yeah, I mean, you say it every week, so it's a cliche. I was feeling fine, about Marshawn Lynch. He's ranked at 13. I thought this would be his breakout game. It was not. He got you 13 carries, 63 yards. I will take that loss.
That's okay. Yeah, I got some coming up too, man. Like for instance, right now, a guy that I felt was really going to do well, especially against, coincidentally enough, against the Redskins, was Terrell Pryor. He had 3 catches for 23 yards. He was projected at 11. He got you 5. So I apologize for that. If you heeded my advice, I will say moving forward, he's a guy that I do like. Keep your eye on him. If it's maybe something, if you're not in a really deep league, like a 10-guy league, or even I think there's like some smaller leagues out there, that's a guy that I would definitely keep your eye out for.
Yeah. Basically, along the same vein, I thought Jamison Crowder could get you above projections playing for the Washington football team. against the Niners. I thought they had a really bad secondary. Expected at 9. He got you 5. This is the guy who last year, I think, averaged about 11 or 12 points a game. I thought he could return to form because he also returns punts. And it just did not work out for him. I think Josh Doxson has replaced him in the slot. You have Pryor out there too, and it just was not a good week for him. I thought it was going to be a good week, especially getting a really poor secondary. And Crowder's a guy who I own in a keeper league, who I'm debating whether or not just cutting outright for a future prospect. Because he hasn't done anything this year. I think he hasn't gotten double digits this entire year, and he was ranked, I think, in the top 40 or so beginning of this year for the draft, and he just hasn't been doing anything.
You know what, buddy? I got to back you up on that, man. I've had Jamison Crowder last year, and he was amazing. He was really awesome. Good. Super good. Kirk Cousins, you felt like the report could only build, or he'd be that dump-off Golden Tate kind of guy. And nothing, man. I don't understand. I think they're trying to get this running back situation figured out. I think with Jordan Reed going out, the addition of Terrell Pryor, just everything, man. Right, it's just it's just. I mean, I didn't even want to put it all on him. It's been a lot. So
he's got enough to bear out there. He's got a kid on the way.
Listen. He's got his faith. Halloween's around the corner. Exactly. Moving on. A guy also that I really went on a stretch for. This was not a safe bet. Thought it might have paid off. Was Taylor Gabriel. He had 4 catches for 39 yards. He was projected to get you 11. He got you 7. That's almost half, so I consider that an L. I apologize for that. He's not a guy that I would choose moving forward. I just like the matchup. I liked what was going on. So for that, I apologize.
He was a fun streamer. I get that. It's a guy that I picked up, too, in my fantasy league because he has as I've said multiple times, a high ceiling, but a very low floor. John Hall, I think it was, or some sort of Hall. He hauled in a touchdown. He had
hit it 2 times in a symbol, dude.
For 40 yards. He was so unknown to the point where he wasn't even available in ESPN leagues to start, and that's the Taylor Gabriel role that we saw last year. And this Falcons offense, I think, other than Devontae Freeman, there's no one I really want to own.
Right.
Okay, we'll get to that. Sorry, because one of my Ride the Pines was pretty fun for me. But feeling fine. I'm going to get my only win this week. It was Mr. Evan Ingram. I guess he had to, right? There's no other options there in New York.
It's weird. It's weird that he's panning out, and I think he's a victim of circumstance in terms of that. But I'll let you elaborate, man.
I would say he's a beneficiary of circumstance.
Beneficiary of circumstance.
If the victim means that he's doing really well, yeah.
He's victimizing defenses. Hey.
He's projected to score you 10. He got 19, 5 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. And I think just with Beckham out, with Marshall out, with Harris out, with Shepard out, this was the guy who I thought could score you some points. Hopefully he was available for you if you could pick him up. I think he was available in like 25% of leagues. If you can pick him up, that'd be great. If not, if he's on your bench, you had another tight end that you kind of swap in and out. Last week he got you 0. This is a very good pass catching, tall, strong, physical receiver. I kind of.
Are you sold on him? Sounds like you're trying to cross a picket line.
Well, the problem is I struggle to call him a tight end because he's not really a tight end. He can't block. So he has to play in 2 tight end sets if you're running the ball. If you're passing the ball, if he's the one tight end, the defense kind of knows he's not there. So he's got to be in spread formations.
He's too obvious.
He's like an Eric Ebron. He's a little too obvious. You're not really running the ball. And if you are, you're maybe not going to his side. But as far as this tight end free agency class, or whatever you want to call it, this tight end fantasy pool, he is one of the better options out there, especially with all those injuries for the Giants.
Right. Now, Bill, I just want to make sure you and I are on the same page. I actually have 3 more feeling fines. Where are you at?
Oh, you, buddy.
It's all. This is it. You're done.
4. I only have 4 because I'm lazy.
You had 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, well then I will move on. I did Buck Allen. Have I done him yet?
No, Javordi is Buck Allen.
Yes. So 10 carries, 49 yards. He was projected at 12, got you 8. My apologies on that one as well. Moving on to Travis actually knowing what the hell he's talking about.
Well, I want to say real quick about the Buck Allen thing. That's not a terrible pick because he was the pass catching back and he was getting the majority of the carries, especially with Terrence West out.
Right.
Alex Collins has been a running back.
Collins kind of reminds me of Chris Ivory circa, what was that, 2015 with the Jets?
I've been talking about him for weeks. I was talking about him last year. I don't know if on this podcast or with friends. I really liked him coming out of Arkansas. He ran for, I think, 1,700 yards in his senior year in the SEC,
hard.
which is not a joke. That's not a joke to run for 1,700 yards. And he does have a little fumbleitis, but he's working on that. And
a lot of those power guys do, though, you know?
Yeah.
It's just that's their MO, you know? They run upright and they power over people.
I just really like Alex Collins moving forward. But Buck Allen is a dual threat running back, and that was not a bad choice. So big up to you, man.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, it didn't pan out, and I think we both do want to give a shout out to our good friend Kristen from Pittsburgh. I know that she kind of went all in on this, and I think better days are coming. I just don't think it really panned out this game. Moving on, I will say my two hard W's would be Deshaun Watson. He's been my guy all week. All season. I just want to say this: the kid is a surefire QB1. If you're in a 2-quarterback league, it doesn't matter. He is good. I think the loss of J.J. Watt hurts a little bit, possibly in future, but at the end of the day, like we said earlier, he's one of the only, I think, if not the only rookie to have 303 touchdown games, three of them in a season.
303 touchdown games?
Yep.
Already?
300 of them. It's wild. He actually defies the odds.
It's going to make you sad?
He didn't. What's that?
The Bears could have drafted him at 3.
No, it's okay. We didn't want to. We want Mitch Trubisky. I like Deshaun Watson, but I just don't. I'm not big on that. I like mobile. I don't. We'll get into that at another time.
Yeah,
this game he did
like
not.
The quarterbacks, I get it.
Right. I like good. Yeah. We're not even gonna go there. He was projected to get you 18. He got you 23. He had only 225 yards, but he did have that magical 3 touchdown mark. He's a scrambler. He's a facilitator. He really awoke Will Fuller this season. He's really awakened DeAndre Hopkins this season. It's amazing what you could do with a quarterback. So
believe it or not, yeah,
it's so wild. So I love Deshaun Watson. If you have him, don't put him on your bench. Start him. I think there are, outside of the big boys, I think there are 4 to 5 guys that you need to start every week, week in, week out, to guarantee 20 points, and that is the top 2 are Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz. If you are on the fence about, not the Tom Brady's, not those guys, but Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz are the real deal. And you should start them. Real quick,
if you own Deshaun Watson, I'm assuming you own another capable quarterback. This is the week in which you can trade an Aaron Rodgers owner for a decent amount. I'm not saying
smart.
Go
I like that.
Over the top, but if you have Deshaun Watson, I'm assuming you have someone else in the Carson Palmer or Andy Dalton or Matt Ryan or someone in that ilk that you can trade. At least get rid of, because you're assuming Deshaun Watson can keep these numbers up, and I agree with Travis that he is going to. So this is a week in which you could trade your backup, or at least the guy that you're kind of spot starting, to an Aaron Rodgers owner, because I'm assuming he doesn't have a backup.
Well, they're scrambling right now.
You can get a decent haul for it.
They're scrambling. I think also to piggyback what you were saying, Bill, is that when it comes down to Aaron Rodgers owners, I think that they drafted high. I don't, so I'm assuming that an Aaron Rodgers owner drafted between 3 to 5, primarily 3 to 4, and now they're like, fuck. So, what I don't know what you would get for it, but I think a solid running back 2, running back 1
Yeah.
Possibly, depending. Because you also have to take in consideration that outside of defensively, a lot of the main point scorers in fantasy are out for the season. With David Johnson, Aaron Rodgers, JJ Watt on defensive if you're in really intricate leagues. So it's
we can all say Odell Beckham.
Beckham Jr. Yeah, I was getting there. Thank you. So it's a lot of people are scrambling, and you don't have to be a piece of shit about the maneuver if you don't want to, or you can continue to kind of wheel and deal. So yeah, very good point, Bill. I like that a lot. Another guy, last guy on my feeling fine portion is ex-tight end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Only 8 catches for 46 yards, touchdown. He was projected to get you 10. He got you 16. It looks like they're really trying to utilize him, and they're really trying to get him involved in the game plan.
And that touchdown at the end should have been a touchdown. The thing was he fumbled the ball outside of the end zone.
So you're saying he should have got 2 touchdowns?
He absolutely should have. That was his touchdown. That was bullshit that they called it a non-touchdown. I understand the rules were the refs did follow the rules, but at the same time,
to a T, right?
That's a weird rule that you need to look at, because if you fumble the ball out of the 1, you get the ball at the 1. If you fumble the ball outside the end zone, it's a touchback for their team. It's just a weird, it's just a weird rule, in my opinion.
It is a very weird rule, and I think, again, this goes down to the whole catching thing. It's like, okay, so the ball can't cause a fumble. I like that. But, somebody can punch you over the goal line or on the goal line, and it's such a gray area where it's like, all right, have a definitive, black and white.
Yeah, like a ref.
Because if I'm a Jets fan, which I mean, whatever. But if I
don't hate yourself that much.
I don't hate myself that much. But if I were a Jets fan, outside of all the trials, tribulations, and turmoil that fan base has had to go through to go against your hated rivals who are consummate winners, and then to lose in that fashion, it's just such a bad taste. It's not cool, and I think the NFL should assume better responsibility to their fan base to really assess that stuff. Because
agreed. And I want to say good alliteration there with trial, tribulations, and torment.
I'm actually reading a bumper sticker right now. It's crazy.
That's pretty sweet.
Moving on. I think we have to be negative now. Let's be negative. Let's ride some pine.
What's funny is that we actually kind of agreed on a few, so I'd say get 1 or 2 out of the way that we didn't agree on real quick, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure. One that we didn't agree on. I'm looking. Oh, Mike Evans. Is that who you're talking about?
Mikey Evans.
I had to look through my notes here. Yeah, Mike Evans, man. I was wrong. I really felt that it wasn't going to work out. I felt Patrick Peterson was really going to shut him down. He had 3 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown. So,
and he should have a second touchdown, but
big ups to Big Mike.
Pat Pete knocked it away. He was clearly the better player in that matchup as far as football goes. Fantasy-wise, he got you the points, but just being an Ultra Bucks fan and a pessimist there, Patrick Peterson definitely shut him down for the most part of that game. It was when it came to the third quarter, fourth quarter, when they were kind of playing prevent.
That's when it matters the most, man.
Is when he got it. So
that's
he got
when it matters
the points,
the most.
But it was not a bad call because Pat Pete does shut down people. Especially number 1 wide receiver. He's a great cornerback.
I don't know if it's geographic, but anybody who sleeps on Patrick Peterson or goes, yeah, he's great, but Richard Sherman, or yeah, he's great, but Josh Norman, or yeah, he's great. All these guys pay homage. Patrick Peterson is the most complete, well-rounded, amazing shutdown corner in the NFL. And, the only thing he's got going against him at this point is possibly age and franchise, but Patrick Peterson is just he's awesome, man. He's awesome. I love Patrick Peterson. I love everything as a it doesn't matter. I think Patrick Peterson is the man.
Yeah. On land, on the sea, in the air, we love Pat Pete here on this podcast.
All right, so yeah, I was wrong. But was I though? Was I? I mean, 16, 18.
Moving on.
So all right, yeah, no, I moved on. Who's where are you at, bud?
Well, no, because we have the couple we agree on. So one that we did
Oh,
not agree on, I thought I'll just go ahead real
Carlos
quick.
Hyde.
Well, okay, sure, go ahead, go Carlos Hyde.
I could not have been more wrong about anything. I will
You
be.
weren't wrong. You
I
only
was
had
I was
yeah.
I was majorly wrong. I was majorly wrong. The guy had 13 carries for 28 yards. He did the garbage time 2 touchdown bullshit. He was projected to get you 12. He got you 23. Listen,
Well,
this
that
is
was
a guy.
two receiving touchdowns.
This
Yeah.
is the last I'm gonna harp. When it comes to Carlos Hyde, I'm just not sold on him. He has flashes of brilliance, but he's terribly inconsistent. And like if you look at his numbers, like we were laughing about 28 yards, but he gets 2 touchdowns. And that is not every game. A guy that can do something like that is Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon can get you 40 yards, but he's always going to get you 1 to 2 touchdowns. So that's a safe bet. A Carlos Hyde, not so much.
And I still like his backup, Matt Breida. We both agreed. Let's do those real quick. Sit Big Ben. These were guys that we didn't talk about. Like this was no like agreeance or whatever. It was I wrote down mine, then he sent me his picks. We both agreed that Ben Roethlisberger should sit. He was ranked at 14. He got you 12, 250 yards and a touchdown. I actually had a win for the both of us. Men in score position, win that one.
We'll do it.
Another one that we both win, shitty Lamar Miller.
Yeah, not good. Not
at 16,
good.
got you 11, 41 yards rushing, 40 yards receiving. I think Deontay Foreman takes that starting role either by the end of this year or next year. I think Foreman is a better running back than Lamar Miller.
I don't
Lamar Miller's
understand.
going to evolve into the third down running back there.
I just don't understand how Lamar Miller still has a starting role, like as in almost every down back. It's just it's bizarre to me. I mean, this guy must be doing something in practice that we're just not privy to, but he's just not good. He's not a good game player. He doesn't perform well on Sundays. Like it's just not his thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that leaves us. I got 2 left on mine.
I got 2 left. You go
Cool,
first.
go ahead. No. I'm tired of hearing my voice. You go, brother.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I was tired of it too. A player in which I said should ride your pine, but not really because you can't really sit him. But I thought in Daily Fantasy he was overvalued. Julio Jones. He was projected you at 16. He got you 13. He hadn't scored that much this entire season. In a single game, I think he averaged about 10.5 yards, or excuse me, 10.5 points per game. Fun fact: 35th ranked wide receiver as far as fantasy goes. Julio Jones. He got you 6 catches for 72. Sorry, 35th overall for this entire season. That's how bad it's been for him this year. Matt Ryan and him have looked disjointed. That offense has looked pretty bad ever since Kyle Shanahan left. In the offseason, and Devontae Freeman. Deontay Foreman and Devontae Freeman. Damn it.
Akeem Hicks and Hakeem Nicks.
Devontae Freeman, I think, is the best player on that team, and him and Tevin Coleman are the 2 options to go to. I think Julio Jones has not been good this year. He's not been a top 5 pick like he was projected to be.
Well, here's the thing. For those of you who aren't aware as to why he just harped on that so hard, it's because I had 3rd overall pick, and it was out of necessity. It was either Julio Jones or like fucking Keenan Allen, and I was going Julio Jones. So
Keenan
I
Allen, top 10 wide receiver.
So I chose Julio Jones, and he's 1,000% right. It's not a pick that I really, really wanted. It's not somebody that was, or no, excuse me, I had 9th in that league, I believe, and that's why I ended up with Julio, because there's a lot of other guys. I would have went Jordan Howard. I wouldn't have went a lot of other guys. But
what's funny is if you think about it last year too. I mean, it's, forgive me for saying this, other than his 300-yard game in which he had 300 yards in a single fucking game. I think he was ranked like 25th overall. He
just doesn't look his way a lot. He's kind of like that safety net almost.
But he also did have 300 yards in a game. So, he is not a bad player in the league.
Listen.
Yeah.
Julio Jones is Julio Jones. Julio Jones is not in no way, shape, or form in no way, shape, or form. I'm going to speak for the both of us, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is he a bad receiver? Is he not elite receiver? Is he not top 5 receiver? I think Julio Jones is absolutely amazing. I think that Matty Ryan is pedestrian with really, really good years. I think that the Atlanta...
First of all, Matty Ryan is a comedian. Matt Ryan...
Oh, we call him Matty on this podcast. But he's just, Julio Jones is amazing. I think he's on the wrong team. And I think you have to get really, really lucky if you're that elite on certain teams. So I don't know, man. I think...
I don't think he's on the wrong team at all, so let's just move on.
Whoa. Time out. Well, let me ask you this. How do you think he's elite?
Do I think Julio Jones is elite? Yes, I absolutely do. I think this was just a bad year for them moving on from Kyle Shanahan. They're trying to find their way in the offense. I don't think Matt Ryan is a bad quarterback. He's not the MVP quarterback he was last year. I think he was a beneficiary of the system in which they put in. I just think I think Julio Jones is not in the wrong system. I think he could maybe benefit from, let's say you put him on the Patriots or you put him on the Packers with a healthy Aaron Rodgers.
I think Packers would be better than the Patriots.
He might be a little better, but he's not. He's still a very good player. It's just this year it seems like they aren't utilizing him as much as they have in the past. And he was never a guy who got you touchdowns in the red zone. As weird as that sounds, it was always year after year. They're like, we're going to utilize him more. We're going to get passing the ball in the red zone. They just never do. I think he has less than 5 red zone targets this year, which is ludicrous.
Wow.
I mean,
we definitely have to look that up. That is insane.
I'm not a mathematician. I'm just saying that's not very high.
No. So, no, and you know what? I will piggyback and cap that off with I 1,000% agree with you. I think that was a good analysis. And, yeah, 1,000%. I guess I was trying to kind of geared towards more what I would have said. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it is just a down year. I don't know. He's so damn good, like A.J. Green, and for some reason, his quarterback gunslingers just, they can't really, it doesn't progress even to fantasy or just even on paper. It's bizarre.
All right, so who else were you saying should ride the pine?
So I'm gonna go safe bet here. I do this pretty much consistently every week. Is Amari Cooper? I think this is a win. He had 5 catches for 28 yards. He was projected to get you 11. He got you 7. So you're welcome. It's not a major one, but it's just there's a lot of discord out there, and with Carr's injury, with his red zone inability thus far, he's not a guy that I'm high on, and I refuse to be high on Amari Cooper.
I feel you on that one. That was not a guy who should ride your pine, but he probably should every week. Julio Jones, 1 target in the red zone, 0 catches this year. Yeah, that's pretty crazy, right?
Oh, wait, did you just look that up?
I just looked it up.
I was like, what the fuck? We're already done with Julio Jones.
Sorry, I'm pro football.
Gotta clarify for the listeners.
I looked it up.
One target?
One target.
Who are they going to? Austin Hooper?
Austin Hooper. They go Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, Muhammad.
So they're morphing into a running team until they can figure their shit out. Yeah, that makes sense. As a Bears fan, I get that.
My last player I said should ride your pine was Jordan Reed. He was predicted at 12. He hadn't gotten you double digits this entire year, so I don't know why he's projected so high. Ended up getting you 7, 4 catches, 37 yards. It's just
not his year, man.
It's an injury. He's an injury-plagued player, unfortunately. The concussions are a thing that we need to recognize. The shoulder injuries, the knee injuries, the ankle injuries. I mean, just it's time after time with this guy. Unfortunately, he can't stay healthy. When he's on the field and he's 100%, he's a great player. But this year, maybe he's coming back, maybe taking it slow. But he hasn't got any double digits this entire year. And he just is not a player I feel comfortable starting at the tight end position until he proves himself again.
Yeah, he's 1,000%. I mean, it sucks, man, because he's been Mr. Utility, but I started knowing it last year in a couple of leagues that I had him in, and he would, 30 points a game and then injured for, whatever. And and this year it's just, no, you don't start Jordan Reed. Just don't. If you're really, really desperate and you really like the matchup and you're doing your homework and maybe But other than that, just shy away from them.
And if week after week, if you haven't listened to our podcast, you didn't listen to me when I said pick up Cam Brate at the beginning of the year, you're silly. Cam Brate's number 2 rated tight end this year. He got you another 18 points this week, so you should have picked up Cam Brate when I told you to. You guys don't listen to me. I'm trying to tell you, pick up Cam Brate.
Bias. A tight end that
only number 2 rated tight end this year, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. Last but not least, a tight end that I am not big on, been big on, and I don't like it at all. I don't like it going forward. I will not like it. Is Jared Cook.
Wait, will you like it in a boat?
Would you like it on a float? No, I will not. 2 catches for 14 yards. He was projected to get you 10. He got you 3. He got you 3. So you're welcome. I really hope you heeded my advice.
ESPN PPR scoring projections where all the tight ends, other than like a Zach Ertz, are going to be, or a Gronkowski or Kelsey, are going to be somewhere between 11 and 8. Like, they're all in that area. Right. It's so funny to me.
But you know what it is they split time blocking. Because in order to be an effective tight end, you have to block. So you're automatically, you're automatically losing your touches. But then there's like a guy like Gronk, who I started this week, and, he gets, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns, and...
You started Gronkowski? Wow. Such a fantasy expert over here.
Hey, buddy, I got him in the 3rd round. You had the opportunity twice. Yeah, right. Possibly 4 times, depending on the snake. Your team
had the opportunity to pick up Deshaun Watson, just saying.
I did, and I actually had him. I dropped him. I have so many good quarterbacks, I don't even need them. I have Alex Smith, I had Deshaun Watson, I have Carson Wentz. I've had them all. I'm good.
I meant the Bears.
What's that?
Yeah. I said I meant the Bears.
I thought we were talking fantasy here. Guys, if you have stayed with us this entire podcast, and for the record, we both lost our eliminator pool. I picked the Chiefs. And then, Billy, who did you pick? You picked...
I thought Mariota would be out. That'd be fun. The Titans had like a 9-game losing streak to the Colts. I thought it'd just be a fun pick. I lost. We didn't have any money on it, so whatever.
That's okay. So that being said, guys, if you have any fantasy football questions, thoughts, whatever, please hit us up on our social media. We would love to give advice. We would love to take your questions. We've helped in the past. So we want to continue that going, guys. And also, we are the Men in Scoring Position podcast. You can find us on any one of our social media platforms, Facebook, SoundCloud, iTunes, all self-titled, Men in Scoring Position. You can also find us on Twitter and Snapchat at Men in Scoring POS. You can email us any of your thoughts, comments, general overall points of view to meninscoringpod@gmail.com. We are exclusively through YouTube. Today is October 16th. We will have this uploaded on the 17th. And just remember, if you like us on any of our social media platforms, you get 2 complimentary tickets to the world-famous Laugh Factory at 3175 North Broadway. Billy, what do they always need to do?
Rate, review, and subscribe.
Tell a friend.
If you want to. It's okay if you don't have to.
What is this? What are you pulling back for? Did somebody tell you that it wasn't cute anymore? Is that what's going on?
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Love you.
Oh, jeez. That was...
All right.